Well, good morning to you. I was trying to find a place or a venue, I should say, where I could deliver this message to you this morning. And I was looking for a new church. And buried in the sort of woods and the areas and the small lanes where I live around here, sometimes you come across places you haven't been to before. And I started seeking for one. And I was driving for quite a few miles this morning along country lanes. And suddenly I came to a junction, and having not known where I was like 2 minutes before, came to a junction and saw that I was actually in a familiar place again. So I had literally done a circle and come back to a place that I hadn't really intended to come, but I actually did feel in the beginning before I left that maybe I should go there. So anyway, here I am in the porch of a lovely old church in a little village called Wrentham in Suffolk. And I just want to share with you a psalm before I speak about anything. For the last couple of days now, I've been asking the Lord to impress upon me a psalm to wake up with in the morning. And this was the one that came to me. And it's Psalm 60. O God, thou hast cast us off. Thou hast scattered us. Thou hast been displeased. O turn thyself to us again. Thou hast made the earth to tremble. Thou hast broken it. Heal the breaches thereof, for it shaketh. Thou hast showed thy people hard things. Thou hast made us to drink the wine of astonishment. Thou hast given a banner to them that fear thee, that it may be displayed because of the truth, that thy beloved may be delivered. Save with thy right hand and hear me. God hath spoken in his holiness. I will rejoice. I will divide Shechem and mete out the valley of Sukkot. Gilead is mine. Manasseh is mine. Ephraim also is the strength of my head. Judah is my lawgiver, and Moab is my washpot. Over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Philistia, triumph thou because of me. Who will bring me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? Wilt not thou, O God, which hast cast us off, and thou, O God, which didst not go out with our armies? Give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. Through God we shall do valiantly, for it is he that shall tread down our enemies. I can remember on previous videos singing the chorus, with our God we shall do valiantly. And all the time I was reading that and thinking about it, in the background is what has been going on in Israel in the last couple of days. The exploding pages, those of you that haven't seen the news, it's been quite amazing. It's quite baffling as well as amazing. Pages, those little things that you put in your pocket and makes a little bleeping sound and alerts you that you need to be standing to attention for something, or that you need to give your attention to something. And apparently the Hezbollah terrorists have been carrying these things in their pockets. And unbeknownst to them, as it were, did they know that they were actually carrying bombs in their pockets and holding them in their hands? Because apparently a firm in Hungary had been putting small amounts of explosive inside these pages, so that at a given time, when a signal was given, they would go off bang. And that's exactly what they've done. People apparently have lost eyes, fingers. Some of them kept them in their pockets, and of course, most of them being men, you can imagine what they lost. So the Lord has been at work, giving the initiative, giving the technical know-how, as it were, to Israel, whether it came through Israel or whatever. They're actually not even claiming that they did this. But it's put the enemy into confusion. It's routed the enemy. Reminds me of the Old Testament days when the enemy was in confusion, didn't know which way to turn. They started fighting amongst themselves. And it was this total surprise, which is the other side of it. God can give the victory in a total surprise. And yes, we know that Israel, unbelieving Israel, has rebelled against God, has turned against his Messiah. But at the same time, we know that God hasn't finished with Israel. And this, I believe, is another sign that God is working still on behalf of his people. What other nation on earth could have come up with something like that? Apparently it was exploding pages a couple of days ago, and yesterday it was exploding walkie-talkies. For those of you that haven't seen the newspaper reports, they're there to see. An amazing event, and without firing a gunshot. So the psalm comes alive. God says, doesn't he, quite clearly in Psalm 60 here, that there are aspects of the land, there are parts of the land, I should say, all of the land, not just parts, but the parts that are mentioned here in the psalm itself, that belong to God. He has power over them. And we know too that over the last 18 months, over the last year, actually, it's just about a year, isn't it, coming up for the anniversary of the attack from Hamas, when something like, I think it's 80 to 100,000 Israelis have had to evacuate northern Israel, besides what's going on in Gaza. And the only way that they can get back is to push back the Hezbollah terrorists, the Iranian proxy, back far beyond the border of northern Lebanon in order that they can actually come back. And it's going to take a while for them to comprehend what's actually happened to them. And it may be an opportunity, a window of opportunity for the Jews to go back to their homes. God is a very present help in trouble. And we're seeing this being played out on the world stage. But at the same time, we're seeing other things take place. We're seeing the enemy rise up. And he isn't going to give up. We've seen now the second assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. They're not going to give up. They're not going to stop. And that isn't a prophetic word. That's just blatantly obvious. Whether he's in power or whether he isn't in power, they're going to try and kill him. And more, standing for truth, for values that I know Donald Trump has stood for, whether he's a Christian or whether he isn't. The fact that he has stood against the globalist powers is enough for them to want to get rid of him. But God wants to do these things because he still loves his people. He hasn't abandoned his people, Israel. For those of you that are still into replacement theology, the idea that the church has replaced Israel, I think God is beginning to show us that his hand is still upon the land. His hand is still with his people. As he says here, Gilead is mine, Manasseh is mine. That being the case, something very important has dropped into my spirit now, and basically allied to what Paul was speaking about in the book of Romans, that when the fullness of the Gentiles have come in, all Israel will be saved. And I just have that sense that we're getting close to the fullness of the Gentiles, and that God is maneuvering to bring about his plan for Israel. And when God starts to maneuver and he starts to bring his plans to bear, no man can stand in his way. Sorry about the noise in the background, but I'm going to speak fairly loudly, so it should cover it. I just want to read to you a few verses here from Romans chapter 11. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits. The blindness in part is happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And so all Israel shall be saved. As it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. This is the great promise. The fullness of the Gentiles. That means that when the gospel has been preached to every nation, as Jesus says in Matthew 24, and so the end shall come. And Israel's salvation is at the end. But we're starting to see already God's hand. Certain significant times in history, whether it be the falling of the Twin Towers, the start of the COVID debacle, epidemic, whatever you want to call it, or Hamas attacking on October the 7th. These are the markers that God is showing us that we're in the very end of the end times. All Israel shall be saved. God's plan is being worked out. We're watching it happen in the news. Nobody wants war, of course. Nobody wants to see innocent children dying. But we know that God is working out his plans, and that he intends to fully reclaim for the Jewish people that which is his, because he's made them promises in the past, and nothing will stand in his way. We're seeing Iran growing in the power of God through evangelism. Many Iranian people are coming to know Jesus in spite of the leadership that they have. So let's not look to the globalist forces that are at work. We know that they're going to do what they plan to do. They're going to do their worst, and Satan is going to energize them. But the important thing is that in the end, there will be great deliverance. With our God we shall do valiantly. And it's the same in our own lives. We have to hold on to that fact that he will do valiantly in our lives. And he will strengthen us and empower us. But it's not going to be easy. Temptations may get stronger. People may turn against us. There will be more hostility. And it's more important now too than ever that we stand together. We stand with those who stand strongly with the truth of the Word of God. May God give us that power to continue standing. Have a blessed day. Just a short appendix to the video I've just made. For those of you that are interested still in getting one of my new tracts, as you can see, it's a lot smaller than the previous ones. It's very easy to read with the gospel on the back. I've had 1,000 printed. I've sent out 400 already from that batch. If anyone is interested, I'll put my email address in the description box, and I'll also include a PayPal link and my bank account link if you would like to donate towards the costs of the tracts, the ministry, any allied expenses. Bless you.